I'm Isabella Winters, and from the moment I opened my eyes in this city that never sleeps, I knew destiny had something extraordinary in store for me. Growing up in a family where ambition was intertwined with power, I spent every single day carving out my own legacy right here in the heart of New York, where every skyscraper and street corner whispers stories of triumph and sacrifice. And little did I know that my journey would surge from an unyielding passion to a staggering achievement of $100 million in revenue before my eyes, only to have everything ripple into chaos with one devastating betrayal that set the stage for a fight I never imagined. You see, on what seemed like a normal morning in our gleaming boardroom, amidst the hum of quiet determination and the sparkle of hope reflected in every polished surface, the world I had built was turned upside down when I realized that my own blood would choose ambition over loyalty, shattering the trust one had placed in those closest to me. And in that instant, as the bustling heartbeat of Manhattan continued unabated below, I knew that this was not the end but the spark for something far more explosive, a journey born out of pain, candor, and an unbreakable faith that every setback was just the prelude to an even greater comeback. And now I invite you to stay with me, to witness the raw power of redemption, to feel every pulse of emotion as it transforms heartbreak into the ultimate battle cry for justice and renewal. I am Isabella Winters, a 42-year-old businesswoman whose life has always been intertwined with the pulse of New York City and the legacy of my family's renowned media empire. Growing up within the walls of the prestigious Winters Media Group, I learned early on that success isn't given, it's earned through relentless dedication, unwavering resolve, and an unshakable faith that guides every decision I make. Here, in this very office where every sunrise ushers in new opportunities and every challenge is met with determination, I began to understand that my calling extended beyond the boardroom. I was destined to not only carry forward a legacy that reached staggering heights but also to infuse it with passion, compassion, and a deep spiritual foundation. As I look back on countless memories of brainstorming sessions, pivotal decisions, and lessons etched in the wisdom of the scriptures, I recall the comforting words of Proverbs 3 verses 5-6 that have been my compass. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. These words remind me every day that my journey, with all its triumphs and trials, is part of a divine plan far greater than what the eye can see. With each step I take in building this legacy, I honor the past, embrace the present, and prepare for a future rich with purpose and promise. Today, as I stand in this environment of clarity and ambition, I invite you to join me on this journey, a story not just of success, but of heart, faith, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. I remember that fateful morning in our high-tech boardroom as if it were etched into my very soul. The excitement still lingered in the air from our recent milestone of surpassing $100 million in revenue, and I walked into that room with the pride of someone who had dedicated every ounce of her being to our family's legacy, only to have that pride shattered in an instant. As I took my seat and glanced around the room, I couldn't shake the unease that crept up my spine. The polished surfaces and expansive windows that had once symbolized endless possibility now seemed to mirror a deceptive calm before an inevitable storm. Then, in one chilling moment that felt like time had frozen, the unthinkable happened. My own brother, Marcus, whom I had trusted implicitly, was announced as the new CEO. I could feel my heart pounding as I watched him confidently take his place at the head of the table, a cold and calculated look in his eyes that betrayed the very bond we once shared. Every detail in that room, the hushed murmurs, the shifting glances of our board members, even the numbers flashing on the screens, suddenly took on a sinister tone, underscoring the magnitude of the betrayal that was unfolding before me. In that split second, the legacy I had fought so hard to build, the $100 million that represented years of hard work, passion, and sacrifice, began to crumble like fragile glass under the weight of deceit. I felt as though the entire foundation of our family empire was being ripped apart, piece by piece, by those I had once believed in most deeply, and I knew that nothing would ever be the same. Standing in that charged silence, with the power of the city pulsing beyond the glass walls and every eye in the room filled with a mix of ambition, shock, and hidden alliances, I silently vowed that this moment of profound betrayal would not be my downfall, but the catalyst that would ignite an unyielding quest for justice, redemption, and the reclamation of everything that was rightfully mine. I remember the nights that followed the betrayal as if I were caught in an endless loop of darkness and despair. Every hour seemed to stretch into an eternity as I lay awake in my small, quiet apartment, the only light coming from the city's distant neon glimmer and the occasional flash of lightning through the rain-soaked windows. In those long, sleepless hours, I felt the weight of every decision I had made, every sacrifice I'd endured, and I began to question everything. I questioned whether the dreams and achievements that had once defined me, including the proud $100 million milestone that once symbolized our relentless ambition, were now crushed under the merciless storm of betrayal. The silence was broken only by the steady ticking of the clock, each beat echoing the shattering of my trust and the slow unraveling of my inner strength. My heart ached with the cold realization that those closest to me had chosen ambition over loyalty, and I felt utterly alone in a vast universe that suddenly seemed indifferent to my pain. Yet, deep within that crushing loneliness, a single beacon of hope emerged from the murk of despair. I recalled a verse that, in that very moment, resonated with an almost divine clarity. For I know the plans I have for you, Jeremiah 29:11. And those words became the solitary spark that reminded me that this darkness was not my end, but a prelude to something greater. As each tear and tremor of anguish paved the way for a new understanding, I slowly began to see that every moment of suffering was not a punishment but a critical step on the journey toward redemption, a journey that would require every ounce of strength and resilience I could muster to reclaim the legacy I once cherished. In the solitude of my desolation, I made a vow to myself that I would confront every shadow of doubt, harness the power of my undying determination, and rise once again, transformed by the very pain that sought to break me. After the sting of betrayal that shattered my world, I knew I had no choice but to uncover the hidden truths lurking beneath the surface. With every beat of my anxious heart, I set out into the uncertain night, determined to piece together the mystery behind my family's downfall. I began poring over every document, every email flagged as confidential, dissecting each memo and note with a precision fueled by both grief and burning resolve, knowing that somewhere in these secret archives lay the evidence I needed to expose the treachery orchestrated by those I once called family. Late nights turned into early mornings as I traced clandestine conversations, uncovered coded messages, and silently recorded every detail of suspicious meetings that took place in hushed corners of our once hallowed boardroom. In the quiet solitude of my secluded office, the soft hum of my computer became both my companion and my confessor, as I meticulously cross-referenced financial statements and internal reports that hinted at a systematic manipulation of the $100 million we had tirelessly built. Then, amid the piles of faded ink and digital records, I found an unexpected ally, a trusted mentor whose unwavering belief in our mission had long been a guiding light. He reached out quietly, confirming my suspicions with damning additional evidence. His discreet tips and shared documents shattered the carefully constructed facade of loyalty and exposed an intricate web of deceit woven by my own flesh and blood. With every piece of evidence I discovered, every hidden file that brought me closer to the truth, I repeated the words of Psalm 37 verse 5 in a low whisper: "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him and He will do it," a mantra that bolstered my spirit in the face of overwhelming betrayal and darkness. In those relentless hours, I realized that each confidential report, every secret meeting, and every coded memo was not merely a fragment of a broken legacy but the very building blocks of my redemption, a testament to the strength within me that would allow me to reclaim not only our family's honor but also the future of the empire we built with sweat, sacrifice, and faith. As I gathered every shred of incontrovertible proof, my resolve hardened into a fierce determination to expose the conspiracies that had once unraveled all I had cherished, and with that undeniable evidence in hand, I vowed to set the stage for a comeback that would shine a light into the darkest corners of deception. I walked into the boardroom that brisk morning with a heavy heart and a mind sharpened by countless nights of restless determination, and as I stood before the assembly of top executives, I knew that this was the moment where everything would change. Every eye in that room was fixed on me as I slowly unfolded the folder that held the damning evidence, not just a collection of papers, but the story of our rise to $100 million and the betrayal that threatened to undo it all. With each deliberate step towards the head of the table, I felt the intensity of every sacrifice and every sleepless hour spent building our family empire, and I recalled the promise that had always guided me, the assurance that all things work together for good, as Romans 8 verse 28 had once comforted me in my darkest hours. In that moment, I looked directly at my father and my brother, those who I had trusted implicitly, and I spoke with a voice that trembled not with fear, but with the fierce strength of resolve. Today, I stand before you, not simply to accuse, but to reclaim what was nearly lost. Every dollar, every sacrifice that built our $100 million legacy was earned with blood, sweat, and unwavering faith, and I will not allow deceit to overshadow the truth we worked so hard to create. As I laid out the pieces of evidence on the table, the confidential emails, the secret financial ledgers, and even the recordings of whispered alliances, I could see the shock ripple across every face in the room, and with that, I pressed on. Your betrayal may have shattered our bonds, but it will never break the spirit that built this empire. I am here to expose the truth and to remind everyone that even in the face of the darkest treachery, redemption is possible, and every setback is simply a setup for the ultimate comeback. With the room growing silent and the weight of every revealed secret hanging in the air, I paused for a heartbeat to let those words sink in, then added, if you believe in the power of truth, in the strength of resilience, and in the redemption born from unyielding faith, then join me in turning this day of reckoning into the first chapter of our triumphant renewal. In that charged space, fueled by the raw energy of justice and the knowledge that our shared legacy was far from over, I sealed my declaration with the conviction that this confrontation would be the spark that ignited a new dawn, one where honesty triumphed over deceit and where every betrayal was transformed into an enduring testament to the strength of the human spirit. Now, as the morning sun bursts over New York City, I feel an overwhelming sense of renewal, a promise that every dark night gives way to a glorious dawn. I stand here, not as the shattered soul I once was, but as a woman reborn from the ashes of betrayal, determined to rebuild what was broken and to reforge a legacy defined not just by a $100 million milestone, but by the unyielding spirit of resilience and the power of redemption. In this revitalized space, surrounded by a team that shares my vision and unwavering commitment, I've learned that every scar left by painful experiences is a reminder of our strength, and every crack in our foundation now serves as a gateway for innovative ideas and new beginnings. Here, in the radiance of fresh light and renewed purpose, I lead dynamic meetings where creative strategies are born out of heartfelt conversations, every plan mapped on digital displays speaking to the transformative journey we are undertaking. I see in every determined glance and encouraging smile a silent vow that the damage of the past will not define our future, but instead will be the very catalyst for building an empire grounded in transparency, trust, and enduring faith. I recall the timeless words of Isaiah 40 verse 31, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength," which resonate in every decision we make today. This verse serves as a beacon, guiding us as we re-establish not only the financial fortitude of our $100 million legacy but, more importantly, the strength of our hearts and the unity of our purpose. In every handshake, every strategic discussion, and every spark of creativity, I feel the transformation happening all around me, each challenge we overcome together coalescing into a new chapter that is more authentic and vibrant than ever before. With every smile of encouragement shared among my colleagues, I pledge to transform every setback into an opportunity for reinvention and to lead our renewed empire with a commitment that turns past betrayals into the bedrock of tomorrow's triumphs. Because today, as we rebuild from the ashes, we're not just recovering what we once had, we're creating something exponentially greater, a future where our legacy stands as a testament to the power of resilience, faith, and an unwavering pursuit of truth. I stand here on this tranquil rooftop as the first rays of dawn break over New York City, feeling the profound stillness and warmth of a brand new beginning. Reflecting on the journey from the dizzying heights of a $100 million dream, through the deep valleys of betrayal and despair, I realize that every tear shed and every sleepless night paved the way for this moment of rebirth and clarity. In this quiet solitude, I am reminded of the timeless words of Scripture, Psalm 30 verse 5, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." These words resonate deeply within me, affirming that no matter how long the night, the promise of a radiant morning is always just beyond the horizon. If my story has sparked even a sliver of hope in your heart, I invite you to join our community right here on my channel, To Cope Well. Remember, life can be tough, but know that hope is alive and you can to cope well. By liking, sharing, and subscribing, you become a vital part of a movement that transforms every setback into a stepping stone towards a brighter future. Together, we turn our struggles into triumphs and our heartbreaks into the fuel for unstoppable comebacks. Today is not an ending, it is the dawning of a new chapter where every scar is celebrated as proof of our strength, and every moment of pain is transmuted into courage and unity. Let this sunrise be a witness to our collective promise, that in every challenge, hope endures, and in every fall, we rise stronger than before.